And I'm here today to explore a question. And that question is, what happens to our relationships with our companion animals when we really start to take them seriously as sentient beings? And also what happens when we really start to take into account their own experience of domestication and captivity. So with that in mind, I'd like to start by talking about the term pet and the difference between that term and the term companion species. The term pet denotes that the non-human animal is there for us, to service us and to give us affection. I think this is a problem because when we see any sentient being as existing solely for our use, it makes all kinds of violent behaviors permissible, and it makes the relationship one of dominance instead of one of companionship. We see this time and time again with a lot of really widespread practices that cause a lot of unnecessary suffering, like the fur industry and factory farming, but also in the puppy mills, which there are thousands of in existence currently in the United States. And also when we look at the literally millions of dogs and cats that are brought into shelters and euthanized every year because they lose their homes and a new one can't be found for them. On the other hand, the term companion species acknowledges that humans and dogs are, for example, are linked through coevolution. The human civilization as we know it would not exist without the dog, and the domestic dog as the species it exists today would not be here if it weren't for human intervention. The two species are, under this terminology, in a relationship of exchange, which fosters a certain kind of respect. This idea of companion species is grounded in a concept that the feminist theorist Donna Haraway calls significant otherness. And obviously in this context, we're not using that term to denote a romantic relationship, but the fact that we differ in vastly important ways. Significant otherness acknowledges that companion species differ greatly biologically, in our needs and desires, and in the ways that we perceive the world around us. But it also says that in observing one another and attempting to understand one another, we as significant other species can come to a place of mutual respect. And this respect can protect the more vulnerable non-human from the dangers that are associated with being labeled as a pet. And it also allows to foster a sense of love and play that comes with respect. I really want to note here that dogs do not have to be taught to notice us in this way. They've been doing it for centuries. Their survival as a species depended on it when they came into contact with humans, that they be able to read our verbal and physical cues and our gestures, our facial expressions. So they do this, but the reciprocal hasn't always been the case. So in the interest of fostering significant otherness with Sam, I picked up the camera and started recording our interactions. I wanted to observe him from a greater distance and see if it changed my perspective. Here's a snippet of what I saw when I took a step back. What is meaningful to a dog? Alexandra Horowitz calls the things that hold meaning for a dog his Umwelt, or self-world. Perhaps the largest part of a dog's Umwelt is his sense of smell, which Sam is using right now as I take him on a smell walk. Sam experiences the world with a sense of smell so acute he could detect the scent of a teaspoon of sugar in an Olympic-sized pool, and the olfactory bulbs in his brain take up proportionally more room than our central visual processing center. Dogs can smell adrenaline as it's sweated through the skin, allowing them to detect fear, depression, and anxiety. They can even smell chemicals indicating disease. Perhaps more interesting to Sam, however, is that he can smell the unique scent of every dog that's passed by or checked out these bushes this morning. Dogs, like humans, are naturally curious creatures, and Sam is taking in an amazing amount of information as he trots along. I used to discourage him from poking his nose into every bush, but now that I know his Umwelt for smells is so strong, depriving him of using his sniffer seems like robbing him of a piece of his identity. And taking him on these extended smell walks is a way to honor his difference and his Umwelt, and he is delighted by our new ritual. Humans are another important part of the dog's Umwelt. There is no question that they are attentive to us. During our walks, Sam looks at me several times a minute, and at home he often sits in silent observation. Dogs also look at us as humans look at each other, towards the right side of the face first, which makes it easier to gauge expressions. Interestingly, dogs only use this behavior with humans, not with other dogs. This is probably part of the reason our canine companions are so good at reading our emotions. They are also good at using us as tools. If foiled from reaching a treat, a dog will immediately look to a human for help, whereas their ancestor, the wolf, will not. Dogs also know that a pointed finger or the direction of a gaze represents a destination. All this ingenuity on their part is certainly worthy of our respect, as we aren't nearly as good at discerning what they're trying to tell us.